Welcome back, dear listeners, to the ever-darkening pages of Bram Stoker's Dracula. After Lucy Westenra's own heartbreaking diary in Chapter 11, we now enter Chapter 12, Dr. Seward's diary. Here, the story shifts to the precise scientific voice of Dr. John Seward, director of the lunatic asylum. What began as a medical case now becomes a desperate battle against an enemy that defies every law of science. Let us walk with Dr. Seward through these harrowing days and nights as hope fades, transfusions fail, and the full horror of what is happening to Lucy begins to reveal itself. 9 September. Dr. Seward opens his diary with professional detachment. He has been summoned back to Helsing to attend Lucy Westenra, whose condition continues to baffle him. He notes her extreme pallor, the weakness of her heart, and the 2 small punctures on her throat that refuse to heal. He has already performed several blood transfusions, giving his own blood more than once. Arthur Holmwood and Quincy Morris have also contributed generously. Seward writes, "The case is one of the most puzzling I have ever encountered. There is a profound loss of blood, yet no sign of hemorrhage. The patient rallies briefly after each transfusion, only to sink again within hours. It is as though some invisible force is steadily draining her life away." He describes the arrival of his old teacher and friend, Professor Abraham van Helsing of Amsterdam, a brilliant physician, philosopher, and metaphysician. Van Helsing arrives with his heavy Dutch accent, sharp eyes, and an air of quiet authority. He examines Lucy thoroughly, pays special attention to the marks on her throat, and mutters cryptic phrases about the need for more knowledge and forces beyond the scope of our science. 12 to 13 September. The transfusions continue with increasing urgency. Van Helsing takes charge with calm determination. He orders fresh garlic flowers placed around the room, around Lucy's neck, and even rubbed on the windows and door. He insists every opening be sealed at night and hangs a small crucifix near the bed. Lucy complains about the strong smell of garlic at first, but the professor is firm. Seward notes with growing unease that Van Helsing seems to know something the rest of them do not. When asked directly, the professor replies bravely, "My friend, John, you are a clever man, but you think only with the brain of your time. There are things old and new which must be considered together. The world is full of wonders that our science has not yet dreamed of." That night, despite all precautions, Lucy suffers another severe relapse. The garlic flowers are found scattered on the floor, and the window discovered slightly open. Fresh blood stains her pillow. Another emergency transfusion is performed. This time, Van Helsing himself donates blood. Seward writes with frank exhaustion, "We are pouring our life into her veins, yet it flows out again as though into some bottomless pit. I begin to fear we are fighting a losing battle." 14 September. The situation grows critical. Lucy's mother, Mrs. Westenra, insists on sleeping in the same room with her daughter, against Van Helsing's strong advice. The professor warns that any sudden shock could be fatal to the already frail woman, but Mrs. Westenra is determined. That night, a terrible event occurs. A great wolf, or what appears to be a wolf, is seen prowling near the house. The servants hear howling. In the chaos, Mrs. Westenra, terrified by the noise, tears down the garlic flowers and flings open the window for air. She collapses from the shock to her weak heart and dies almost instantly in Lucy's arms. Lucy, already near death, witnesses her final moments. The horror and grief overwhelm her.
When the men rush in, they find Lucy barely conscious, the room once again stripped of its protective garlic, the window wide open, and fresh wounds bleeding at her throat. Van Helsing is furious, yet controlled. He performs yet another transfusion immediately. Seward notes the professor's growing gravity. Van Helsing's face was like stone. He worked in silence, but I could see in his eyes a knowledge of something far worse than simple death. 16 September. Lucy hovers between life and death. The men take turns watching over her. Van Helsing becomes more mysterious, speaking of the undead and the need for sacred objects. He places a wreath of garlic around Lucy's neck once more and lays a small golden crucifix on her chest. In one chilling moment, Lucy opens her eyes and speaks with a voice that sounds strangely changed, softer, more seductive, with a hint of cruelty. "Arthur, kiss me, come close." Van Helsing springs forward and prevents Arthur from obeying. He warns sternly, "No, not for your life, not for your living soul." Seward is shaken. He writes, "For one instant, Lucy's face bore an expression I had never seen before, something voluptuous and cruel. Then it passed, and she was once more my poor, sweet patient." The professor later takes Seward aside and speaks the words that change everything. "My friend, the time has come when you must know the truth. This is no ordinary illness. We are dealing with powers that our science has not yet named. The girl is being visited by one who is undead, a vampire. We must fight not only for her body, but for her soul." 17 September, the final night. The climax arrives with devastating force. Despite all precautions, Lucy suffers one last catastrophic collapse. The men perform what they know may be the final transfusion. Van Helsing, Seward, Arthur, and Quincy have all given blood repeatedly. They are pale and exhausted. Lucy drifts in and out of consciousness. In her final lucid moments, she speaks with heartbreaking clarity and love. "My true friends, my dear Arthur, Mina, thank you. I am going, but I am not afraid now. Promise me you will be good to one another and remember me kindly." Then the change comes. Her breathing grows shallow. The wounds on her throat bleed freely. Van Helsing places the crucifix firmly on her chest and begins to pray. At the moment of death, Lucy's face becomes peaceful for the first time in weeks, beautiful, serene, almost angelic. The men stand in silent grief as the sun rises. Dr. Seward closes the entry with these heavy words: "Lucy Westenra is dead. May God grant her soul rest. Yet I cannot shake the terrible feeling that this is not the end, but only the beginning of a greater horror." Professor Van Helsing's warnings echo in my mind. We have lost the battle for her life. Now we must prepare for the battle for her soul. That was Chapter 12 of Dracula, one of the most emotionally devastating chapters in the novel. Through Dr. Seward's precise scientific diary, we have witnessed the heroic but ultimately futile struggle to save Lucy Westenra. We saw the selfless sacrifices of 4 good men pouring their blood into her veins, the tragic death of her mother, and the first open revelation from Professor Van Helsing that they are facing a vampire, one of the undead. Bram Stoker masterfully contrasts the cold logic of medicine with the ancient terror of the supernatural. Even as science fails, the seeds of the greater fight are planted: garlic, crucifixes, sacred wafers, and the knowledge that death may not be the end for Lucy. The sweet, innocent girl who once received 3 proposals in a single day now lies still, but the horror is far from over. Stay with us for Chapter 13, where the men must face the unthinkable consequences of Lucy's death, and the first steps are taken toward the terrible truth about what she has become. Thank you for enduring this sorrowful chapter with Dr. Seward and the others. If these pages left you grieving or chilled to the bone, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another entry from these haunted journals. The battle for Lucy's body is lost, but the war for her soul is only just beginning. Until next time, pray that the dead may stay dead.